Hey, what's up, Street Talks? Derek from the Derek Street Photography blog. So, I just wanted to make a quick video on, some practical travel tips when it comes to shooting street photography, some of my experiences in New York, and based on all the other travels that I've had, and yeah, some hopefully some tips that could be practical for you guys when you're traveling and interested in shooting street photography. So, first of all, I spent many years traveling thousands of miles all around the globe, and I definitely learned a thing or two about being minimalist when traveling. First of all, I used to be that tourist that just kind of dragged around those two huge suitcases, those rolly suitcases at the airport. Bring everything in every single possible case scenario. Bring extra cameras, extra lenses. My iPad, my laptop, my Kindle, my smartphone, bunches, and all these other equipment that I didn't really need, and bringing tons of clothes and whatnot. And one of the things I discovered from traveling is the more stuff you bring, the more miserable you're going to end up being. And there really is this aesthetic beauty behind traveling light and just not having so much stress when you're traveling. So, first of all, I want to share some of my personal experiences in terms of what not to bring when you're traveling. So, first of all, I don't really think you need more than one camera when you're traveling because worst case scenario, let's say your camera breaks down. Most cities where you travel to will have a camera store. Worst case scenario, you could always just get another one while you're traveling. And it doesn't really need to be an expensive camera too. So for example, we live in a day and society where digital cameras are relatively cheap, fortunately. Currently my main digital camera when I'm shooting street photography and traveling is the Ricoh GR. It's a APS-C sensor. It's tiny, it's small, it fits into my front pocket. And the thing I actually really love about this camera is sometimes in the past, one of the big issues I had while traveling and shooting street photography is, carrying all these extra batteries and chargers. The only charger I need for the Ricoh GR is this tiny little guy. And the way I could charge is on the side port, just pop this open. Boom. And you see that little cord up there? Yep, and just plug that into I usually will use one of these things when I'm traveling, which is always useful. It's made by a company called Anker. You can get it on Amazon for quite cheap. Let's see, what's it branding? Anker. And you can see there's two little outlets there for charging your stuff. So one of those could be charging my Ricoh GR camera, and the other could just be charging my smartphone. So having one of these little adapters actually does really come in handy. There's different versions with like 4 of them, but once again, if you have 4 ports, you're just kind of inviting yourself to travel with more stuff you don't really need. Things that I discover I don't need while traveling. So I'm addicted to reading, and I like to read big books. Like I'm currently rereading this book, Steve Jobs, It's a Thick Behemoth, the book. And I know a lot of people who travel with Kindles, and I think Kindles are fantastic solutions. I personally used to travel with one a lot, but the issue with traveling with more devices than you need is there's just more stuff to charge, and more stuff to charge, more devices, more stress, and less kind of serenity and peace while you're traveling. And so I no longer travel with a Kindle when I'm on the road. I used to also travel a lot with an iPad when I was on the road. So, for example, I have an iPad Air, the first version, and I used to load it up with tons of games and books and whatnot. And I had this fear of being bored on a flight because this one time when I was traveling to Korea when I was a kid, I was like 12 years old, and it was like a 12, 13-hour flight, and I didn't have anything to entertain me. And for some reason, the head console in front of me was broken, so I was bored on a flight for 12 hours. And if you're a kid stuck on a plane, that could leave some scars. So the reason I didn't really bring my iPad anymore while traveling is because honestly, having a smartphone, it could really replace almost everything now. I even put the Kindle app on my phone, so I'll read that when I'm on the phone. If I'm bored, I'll just throw on a couple of games and also listen to like some music. One thing that's actually really awesome traveling with are these headphones I have on my head right now. You see, they're all taped up, but these are the Bose QC15. These are actually kind of outdated, but they're noise canceling headphones. So when you're in a flight, being able to cut out the noise is incredible. The thing I read something in advertisement that said the benefit of these headphones is that it, they're expensive. I think the new QC20s, they cost like $300, but that money is almost like bumping you from coach to first class. And I put so many miles on these headphones, and one of the reasons I'm actually using these headphones while making these videos is because you see this little mic, it just the audio quality sounds better. So noise canceling headphones are really, really nice to have. Honestly, not really a necessity, but something nice to have. And obviously, a laptop is pretty essential when you're traveling and shooting street photography. I currently have the 13-inch MacBook Pro Retina screen, the one that came out. Honestly, part of me, I kind of regret getting it because it's just so damn big and heavy. I probably wish I got another 11-inch MacBook Air, which was my main computer for about 3 years. Unfortunately, it got stolen in Paris last summer, and I had this issue of what laptop to buy. Ended up buying the 13-inch MacBook Pro because the horsepower and the Retina screen. But honestly, looking back, the lighter is better. If there's one laptop I'd choose as of 2016, it's probably the 12-inch Retina MacBook, the one that's super light and minimalist because when you're traveling, less is more. And I used to travel with paper books, but honestly, once again, extra weight, things you don't need. And also, whenever I'm traveling, I only travel. Another tip I have is do not travel with cotton. Cotton, don't have anything cotton. So your shirts, your pants, your boxers, your shorts, your socks, whatever it may be, do not buy cotton. The reason being is that cotton, while it's comfortable, it doesn't dry very quickly, and so I recommend using more synthetic materials like polyester. Currently, my favorite place to shop at is Uniqlo. The reason is that they have lots of quick dry clothing, which is very cheap. So, for example, when I'm traveling, I just have a black V-neck. I'll either get the Airism if I'm traveling to hot countries, which is a very thin material, feels like women's underwear. And the second one is something called Heat Tech. It's like a thicker polyester material, which is nice when you're traveling to colder climates. So for example, when I'm traveling in Southeast Asia, I'll literally only have two V-neck t-shirts, both black because if I spill coffee on it, no one can notice and it's just easier to keep clean. I'll just travel with two pairs of shirts. One shirt is the one I'm wearing on me, and the second is just a spare. And every single night, I'll wash it with shampoo in the shower and just hang dry it. And by the morning, it's dry. For my recent trip to New York City, I just brought two V-necks, both Heat Tech. One was a black V-neck on my shirt, and one was the one I had in my backpack. For you guys, I think they also sell for you ladies too. There's a company called Ex Officio, EXOFFICIO, and they make these boxer briefs, and they're the most comfortable pair of boxers that I have, and I'll travel with two of them. Once again, one I'm wearing and one in the backpack, as well as these really thin socks. I ordered them on Amazon. What are they called? Drymax. Yeah, they're called Drymax, and they're also made out of polyester. They're not made out of cotton, so wash them in the shower, quick dry it, and it's easy. And I don't recommend traveling with more than one pair of pants. Once again, just get some pants that are comfortable. Honestly, I travel a lot with jeans. I find jeans are fine, but if you can find travel pants that are made out of polyester, even better because they're easier to wash when you're on the road. I find the biggest mistake that I made in the past was I travel with too many clothes. Like I bring extra shoes, extra clothes, but really the absolute minimum you need is just two pairs of everything that is not cotton that you could quickly wash. And trust me, this will reduce your traveling load by probably about 90%. And yeah, so my last trip to New York, I was there for about 2 weeks. The only thing I brought was my Ricoh GR. I didn't even bring my film Leica. I just left that at home because I just wanted to travel light. And honestly, it was quite difficult not to travel with the film Leica because part of me felt that there's always the fear of what if when you're traveling, and I think that's the fear which encourages us to bring more crap than we actually need. So when I'm traveling, I'll bring a Kindle. Sometimes in the past, I'd bring a Kindle, an iPad, and a smart phone because I'd be like, what if all of them suddenly ran out of batteries and I was bored on my flight? or God forbid, it helped me be less productive in life. And probably my best find that I found recently. So for those of you guys who don't know, I was in Paris last summer, and I was just chilling with some of my students at a cafe, all laughing, drinking a beer, and I look up, I look down, my backpack's down there, and I had it in between my legs, and I look down again, literally 10 minutes later, and it's gone. So somebody just snatched my backpack when we weren't looking, and I wandered into this camera store somewhere in France, and I found this backpack made by ThinkTank. It's called the Perception 15. It's quite possibly the best camera backpack I've ever owned. It's wonderful. There's like a zipper down here, and what I'll do is I'll put my keys down here and chapstick, always useful. And also there's another zipper up here, and there's just some space. I usually put my smartphone in here, or like earplugs or something like that. And the best part is on the inside, there's these two little flaps here where you could put a camera and lens. So in here, I'll just literally just put my Ricoh up here, and I'll usually put my headphones in this container. And if you look down, there's also tons of extra room to put a small jacket and extra crap. And also you can see there's an area where you can put pens and all these little accessories. Also in the back, there's a zipper here where you could put, there's two flaps. One, the bigger flaps on the bottom for your laptop, another smaller flap just in case you have iPad or tablet. And literally when I'm traveling, all of my life's belongings can fit into the small backpack. And it's the ThinkTank Perception 15. And so literally that was the only backpack I traveled with. And the only things I brought were my smartphone, my Ricoh GR, these headphones, laptop, 13-inch MacBook Pro, and my clothes, 2 pairs of clothes, toiletries, and yeah, that was pretty much it. It was awesome because, yeah, you just feel so liberated. And some of the philosophical things I learned about traveling light, and after coming home after some weeks or sometimes even months, is I come back to my house and I'm like, why do I have so much crap? Like, I look through my closet, I have all this crap. I have all these electronics, things that I don't use. I look at my library. I love all my books, but honestly, I only really need probably 5 of them. I look at my closet full of all my clothes, and I'm like, man, this stuff just kind of stresses me out. And so one of the things I recommend most of you guys to travel more is because I think it helps you become less materialistic and helps you realize just how little we need to survive. And obviously, traveling abroad helps open your mind, broaden your mind, push you outside your comfort zone. I recently came from New York City last weekend, and I was there for about 2 weeks. Amazing place. I mean, if you've never been to New York City, you have to go there at least once in your life. I stayed with my buddy Alexander in the Lower East Side, which is kind of like the cool hip neighborhood. Lots of great coffee shops and bars there. And spent a lot of my time shooting Midtown near Bryant Park. I love up and down Fifth Avenues where I find the most amazing ladies. And some of my favorite places to shoot are also Wall Street when I'm shooting my Suits project. And also like to shoot along 7th Avenue. And yeah, New York is just an amazing place to find characters, and also on the New York subway. But yeah, when you're traveling, some other tips I have is I know a lot of people like to do a lot of research on a place before they go, but my advice is actually the opposite. Go to a place with no preconceived notion and kind of go to the city like you're a child for the first time in a new place. And I think one of the best ways to get to know a city or just to talk to the locals. And some questions I'll always ask people is, tell me what is the most overrated thing to do in the city. So New York, that's was it the Times Square? All New Yorkers will tell you to avoid it like the plague. And the second question I'll ask is, what do you think is the most underrated thing to do in the city? And the great thing about talking with locals instead of going on TripAdvisor or Yelp or any of those other services is that A, you have a human connection with a local, and B, it's easier, and C, they often know these like really wonderful hidden gems that even these online search engines aren't able to pick up on. And also when you're traveling, I think it's good, for me personally, I like to have, a a general idea of where I want to walk and check out. But honestly, a lot of it is just kind of being a flaneur, which is a French word for just kind of walking down the street aimlessly and not really having a destination in mind. Trust me, I'm guilty of this all the time. Is I'm always looking at my smartphone on Google Maps to figure out where I'm going. But let your sense of intuition and your sense of smell take you around the city, and don't really have a preconceived notion of what you're going to do during the day, because sometimes you just go down an alley and you'll find this amazing coffee shop or other places that you might have not expected to go to. Another practical piece of advice is when you're traveling to a new city, I'd recommend staying in one place and staying there for a really, really long time and getting to know that one area of the city very, very well, rather than trying to hit up all the different landmarks in the city and getting a superficial understanding in all the areas. For example, when I was in New York, I stayed at about 2 weeks in the Lower East Side, and after about a week, I found this coffee shop I went to every single morning, some good places to get lunch, and I really felt kind of like a local and an insider. And not only will it give you a greater sense of appreciation for a place and actually get to know some of the locals, but you'll also be less anxious, you'll be less stressed. And, I think one of the reasons why a lot of us travel is because we're so stressed out from our crazy busy lifestyles that we'll travel to kind of escape it all. But if you're traveling and you're constantly going from one landmark to the next, doesn't that add more stress and take away stress? And let's see, what else? What other tips do I have for traveling? Yep, so travel light, just with that one backpack. You don't have to check anything in, which means less time at the airport. You could get to the airport quicker. And also, yeah, really think of traveling as a way to connect with new people, have new experiences, but at the same time realize that traveling isn't going to fix all your life's problems. When I first started traveling, it was honestly a sense of escapism that I was very dissatisfied with my life back home. I didn't really like my job. And I felt kind of trapped. And I always thought that by traveling, I'd just be able to escape everything and suddenly my life would be fine. But the only real thing I learned about traveling, through traveling, is to appreciate my life back home. And for those of you guys who travel a lot, there's nothing better in life than having your own nice warm bed. And also, one thing I loved about traveling is it kind of gives me a greater sense of appreciation for my friends, my family, and my community back home. And so there's a saying, home is where the heart is. And I'm really grateful for travel to kind of help me realize just how important that lesson is. So for those of you guys who have never really traveled too much abroad, a lot of people ask me, Eric, what are your favorite places to shoot street photography? Definitely New York City. I also really love Tokyo. It's almost like the Matrix, but weirder. And a lot of people go to Tokyo and expect it to be like just like another big city, but it's just culturally so different from anywhere else I've been to. And actually, my favorite city, maybe not for street photography per se, but my favorite city at the moment is actually Saigon, or Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Amazing food, super low cost of living. Like I stayed at like a modest hotel and it cost me like $10 a night. Most food you eat on the street is like a dollar or $2. You go to a nice sit down restaurant, it's like $5. And the flight getting there is a little bit expensive, but once you're there, everything is so cheap. People are friendly, food is amazing. I think Vietnamese food is one of the most underrated foods out there in the world. And also super fast free Wi-Fi everywhere. I mean, apparently a lot of tech startup entrepreneurs are going to Saigon because the internet connections are so fast. Trust me, it's like almost like 5 times as fast as most of the Starbucks you have in the States. And like everywhere will have it. You'll go to like a 99-cent pho noodle shop and they'll have it. And yeah, it's awesome, and it's very urbanized, great coffee. I love coffee. And yeah, so um, me and Cindy were actually moving to Vietnam this summer. We're going to live there for about a year and a half. So the next few months, enjoying our time in Berkeley, going to spend some time in LA with Cindy's family, and might foreseeably not be back in the States for another 2 years. So I'll definitely do a lot of reporting while I'm in Vietnam. Try to give you some more practical tips on traveling and loving life and street photography and whatnot. But yeah, when you're out shooting on the streets, know that it's nice not to shoot a lot of candid photos, but also use traveling as a way for you to step outside your comfort zone, connect with locals, chat with them, and it's always nice to ask them to take photos of them too. So yeah, I think that's it. I'll keep you guys updated with everything else. Thanks for watching, and I'll try to make more of these videos soon. All right, peace out.